Wait, where is it? Oh, you get the ship. That's what the dragon is from. It's from this event.
Oh, well, it's been in game for like 8 months.
Oh, maybe it's from last year's lunar event too.
No, because that 8 months ago isn't lunar. I love doing this, testing the UI by launching a training mission with no ships on the enemy team. So you win the second the timer counts down to 0.
The US ships of tier 5 at home. I don't have all these ships. You need to have like all the nations to complete this marathon. I don't have a German tier 5 or higher, or I do have a Japanese, but no Soviet tier 5.
Holy fuck, 12 combat missions? They went ham. Oh, completion criteria. Do 3, 4, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Nice. What if you have to do them in that order? Why
I don't think
why did they
so.
use a campaign for this?
Yeah, I don't think you don't have to do it in order.
No, you don't. But I think
You
it's
just have to
funny.
get 20,000 base XP with all the nations, tier 5 or higher.
Fuck that. I don't want to level up every nation.
Yeah, I don't have tier 5 of half these nations.
Japanese, German, US, or USSR. Hey, they're missing something.
So missing, yep, missing British.
The bias is real. Well, I guess that's a lot of experience to only get 5 flags.
Yeah, 20k base times 4, 80k XP. You do have a month to do it, but I don't want to level up German and
That's
Soviets.
a month to level 5 and get 20,000 experience. I mean, it's doable, but
It's mostly for people that already have the ships.
I mean, it's easy if you have the ships. It's if you didn't bother to level a certain nation, USSR. I still have to do the commander training missions.
I do too. Uh, that one's tier 5 or higher too,
Yeah, it's always tier higher, better
right?
higher.
Man,
And I have a bunch of ships low tier I need to level.
I've done. Wait, I finished one of them.
And the other problem is the gameplay at tier 8 and up is just static and boring.
My only ships tier 5 or higher are Omaha and Lexington, and I hate the Lexington.
I should have free XP to the Bogue, but I free XP through the destroyers instead.
No, the bug sucks. Don't play USNCs.
Yeah.
It's just frustration because the Japanese CVs are way
So it's
better,
self
and
torture.
it is self-filtering. I tried to get through the Lexington, but it's just not that fun. But I'm having a lot of fun with Japanese series.
I just realized the gun upgrade on the Clemson makes all the singles into duels.
That's a pretty big upgrade.
That is a very good upgrade because you go from having a 3-gun broadside to a 6. Suddenly you have a better broadside than the Phoenix and better torpedoes.
So you have the Clemson right now. That's the farthest ship you have in the U.S. destroyers.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the Clemson games are in there with the 4-inch guns.
Yeah, it uses 4-inch guns.
You put them on the Fletcher for blitz.
And just rape everyone because
Yeah.
they're insane reload.
Yep. Well, what guns is the Fletcher using this game?
The 5-inch singles. The 5-inch 54s is what should be using. Fun fact, the guns that the Fletcher used in a dual turret is what was used on the Montana. And never put on the ship because they never built it.
The guns on the water used on the Montana?
The secondaries for the Montana are based on a dual turret version of the guns used on the Fletcher.
Oh. What was the what dual 5 inches?
Dual 5-inch 54s.
Hmm. Whatever happened to those single 7 inches that you put on the DDX?
I don't think the US ever actually used those.
Are they? Did they ever make those?
I
Like,
think I think
is it a
those were
real
an
gun at all?
experimental gun before the Washington Naval Treaty.
Single 7 inches, they fire outside your spotting range.
Yeah.
Too bad the DDX didn't have a scout. It would be so OP. Just like in DD rooms to have a scout and the super long range guns.
The biggest shame is not having real secondary range in this game.
Yeah, because they would just destroy the
Everything,
destroyers. Everything. Cruisers,
even
destroyers.
with I mean, you'd have the max range of the destroyers as your secondary range on all the U.S. battleships,
Your secondary broadside would be better than the primary broadside of destroyers.
and some cruisers, especially the German and the Yamato.
Quickly,
I mean, the Iowa would have 5 of the gearing guns on each side. I kind of think the high tiers would be more enjoyable if ships had more HP and the battleships had their secondaries going off at realistic range. But then destroyers would be absolutely useless. Cruisers would kind of also be useless because your secondaries would be effectively the same as the entire cruiser. The Atlanta would not even need to be in the game anymore because the secondaries in all the US battleships. I expect at some point the game will have a premium uh, Maryland.
Hmm.
That's
Is
the
it?
second Colorado class ship that they modified to have the 5-inch duels instead of the World War I gun
Yeah,
setup.
that's what I was. You think it'll be a premium, or would they add that to a second
No,
line?
that's gonna be premium because it'd have a better secondary than the base ship.
Let's see if they did make a second line, or would they start at tier 5 and go down?
I
Just
think it starts at 4.
they just make the entire line though.
I would split off the Nevada at 4. Maybe even have it two splits. Is there anything else in South Carolina can have a ship branch off of it? Maybe
I don't
directly
know.
off the hull.
I honestly don't know very much about all these super old battleships.
Get the Nevada class, and then maybe the Tennessee, and then the problem is you have the Well, we have the New Mexico, so only need the Pennsylvania class.
Tennessee, the Pennsylvania,
So you'd
but
go then you need to somehow make a battle cruiser line. So
yeah,
Lexington, the problem is the Lexington would be 10 16-inch guns at 28 knots.
that would be a tier 9.
It'd have to be tier 9 exactly. So what do you fill in between? Unless you make the Lexington never not happen and just put the Guam in as a random ship, not the Guam, the Alaska.
Yeah, filling in is really like the Guam and the Alaska
The biggest problem would be the Alaska in real life had really really good range, but it fired 12-inch
and Block
guns.
Shadow.
It blocked out. The Alaska had something like 95% the range of the Iowa,
Holy crap, that's long.
and all the ranges in game are shrunken down.
Hey, why do they have long range of 12-inch guns?
They fired
Super high velocity.
high velocity charges. The only thing I can think of is an Alaska at tier 7 to compete against the Scharnhorst. I think the Alaska did 33 knots. Yep, 33 knots. The Alaska was also almost as big as the Iowa.
What?
It was just as long, and it was only 10 feet narrower.
What? What do they do with all that space?
Make it a big target. The ship was designed so that they could convert it to an aircraft carrier if needed. That's why it was big. Four-inches deck on the 1.4-inch armor deck. You might as well not exist.
Hmm.
9-inch belt armor. That's not bad. Okay, maybe it is. No, it's not bad. That's 228 millimeters of sidearm belt armor. That's comparable to the New York, I think.
And the size of a ship, the Alaska.
The size of the Iowa, yeah. 808 feet long by 91 feet wide.
Sure. The New York is one thing, and then Ohio is another thing entirely.
Yeah, it's similar armor to the New York. I think that could work at tier 7, maybe tier 6, because of the guns.
What about the Guam, or would that just be a whole upgrade?
I don't think they the Guam was just literally the same as the Alaska, not like an NF, where it magically
Yeah, but it
had
had a different color
always had
scheme.
100%. Oh, you always had the max overheat. It had it went to 28, 47 out of the box.
Oh yeah, it was speed check without any engineers.
Yeah.
And the Guam was slightly harder to speed cap. All you needed was like one level 50 engineer.
No, no, no. The Guam was the one that speed capped out of the box. The
For
Alaska
the
didn't.
Guam speed cap, the Alaska needed like one level 50 engineer.
Yep.
Guam was a little bit heavier though. Or maybe that was just because of the extra support.
It had the extra sailor is why.
Yeah, and the extra ammo.
Plus, you could fit the extra ammo, and you could fit the L's realistically, all of which are all heavier. But it used the same engine as the Iowa and the which carrier?
It was like the CV4 engine, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, it's the same. It's the same engine as the South Dakota and the Essex.
Oh yeah, in South Dakota.
Another
But
ship that goes
why were they
ludicrous.
allowed to use these engines? Why couldn't like there just be a standard engine that you
Uh,
had to use for a ship?
we were actually thinking of doing that. Or at least I was thinking of doing that. Make clone engines for the battleships, so they didn't use carrier engines and confuse people.
Yeah, make it less confusing.
CV engine 4. I loved that engine. The other engine I liked was the Iowa engine.
Was that BB7?
BB7, yeah. BB8 was the Montana engine. I always loved all the people who just went straight to D8 and wondered why their Iowa went slow. That was always funny reading posts of people who, instead of looking for the max horsepower, went for the max
Max number.
yeah, max number. The U.S. was the only nation that didn't have sequential engines, so
The cam was super confusing because there was like three different viable engines and like the H39, depending on your crew.
it all came down to overheat time.
But it's like PS engine one or something, and BC engine something, and BB engine something.
Here it is. Here's the Alaska and the Missouri.
Is that a size comparison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a Bogue next to it, but I think it's yeah, it's Bogue.
What are those other ships? Is that there's a cruiser? It was like three cruisers. Yeah,
Holy crap, this picture gets big.
yeah. If you zoom in, it gets really really big. You can see that old. There's an old car right there. There's a lot of old cars.
The two ships in front of the escort carrier are destroyers.
Yeah, you're right. They have single guns.
One's a I think it's a
There's
Wix class,
torpedoes.
and the other one is I think a Benson.
Four
Which destroyer had 4 guns?
four guns and two torpedoes.
Is it man? Definitely not
What
the
was the other one?
Mahan. It's whatever ship was
Okay.
before it. The Farragut, I think.
Oh. Then the one way out in front. There's some
Yeah,
stuff on the other side
the
too. I
bigger
think like
destroyer is
tugboats.
definitely a Farragut class.
Oh, that's in the game too.
And the other one is definitely a Wix. And the ship in front of that, I have no idea what that would be.
Well, looks like it has a rowboat attached to it.
Damn though, that Alaska is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It might be bigger than the South Dakota. Because they intentionally made the South Dakota class
That's like
narrower.
it's pretty much the same length as the Alabama,
Holy
or
crap.
a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter than
Okay,
the
so
Israelis.
the South Dakota was 2 feet narrower than the Iowa, but only 680 feet long. So 120 feet shorter.
The South Dakota was always fat in the middle.
Yeah, but they were all restricted to the Panama Canal, so which was 110 feet and a few inches wide. What's the North Carolina? North Carolina is 728 feet long. Unless it's the Washington, it was randomly 3.5 inches longer. Same width, 108. So the South Dakota and North Carolina are the same width, but the South Dakota is much shorter. I wonder how that worked because it all would have been restricted to the 37-foot draft. They don't even mention the draft of the South Dakota in Wikipedia. That means the Alabama should be shorter than the North Carolina in game, but it doesn't really look like it.
Hmm.
Okay, I guess it is. It only has 3 rows of 20 millimeter machine guns on the front versus 5.
What is what?
The Alabama is definitely a shorter ship
Then the North Carolina.
in game. Yeah, there's a lot less. It's a lot shorter from the rear gun to the back of the ship, and a lot shorter from the front gun to the front of the ship. But it looks to be about the same distance from the front to the rear turret.
I think I think the people that modeled the ships did a pretty good job.
Well, for the amount of time they're spending, they better be.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have to put in so much details. The Alabama comes with a Kraken flag. Wow. Definitely want the South Dakota class in game.
That's gonna be on the new line.
Yeah, it would
But
have
the
to
new
be
line's
fast battleship line.
gonna come. Who knows when that's gonna be? Like 2018.
Yeah. The trick to keeping games like this alive is to keep pumping out new content.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing so far. You just gotta really, especially at the beginning, you gotta pump out new content so people come to the game and stay for a while, and then you can start fixing things.
Well, every time they start seeing a bunch of Tier 10s of the ship that they last released, that's when they put the new nations out.
Yeah. My goal is try.
The question is, will the South Dakota have the 8 secondaries instead of 10? Because the South Dakota had the one of the secondary turrets from each side removed to put in a presidential suite. Because it was supposed to be the ship to transport the president across the Atlantic Ocean until the Iowas, which traveled faster, were really launched.
I think severely messed out on it.
Though the real reason you want the South Dakota is it had better firing arcs off the rear turret.